it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in really on a very important topic, and that is how to get through to the other side of narcissistic abuse or difficult relationships, toxic relationships, one where you have become enthralled with somebody where you felt that you were approaching the relationship the right way, in the name of love, in the name of compassion and empathy. You were being the best person that you thought you could be. Yet, unbeknownst to you, there had occurred an error of judgment as you were continuing the relationship with them, and you realized that this person was really not there for you in body and soul, in heart and spirit, really centered and grounded in the very important way that all healthy relationships need to be established in. The experience of being grounded, which means really the state of being present. The experience of being tuned in. In other words, you're no longer living in denial. You're facing your needs in the face. You're facing your fears. You're speaking your challenges. You're adapting to them as they occur, and you are not as intimidated by them. And really oftentimes it's a relationship with a toxic person or a narcissistic individual which makes your own needs seem intimidated. It's as if most people are not really intimidated by the narcissist, they are intimidated by their own needs. Meaning they're not used to speaking up. They're not used to knowing how to say no. They're not used to declaring boundaries. They're not used to identifying abusive treatment or being able to put a halt to it or speak up their own courage and speak and really kind of in a manner that is effective. And really people become really kind of the experience of being coping with a relationship and its ups and downs becomes a higher percentage of the relationship. So 80%, becomes coping, 20%, 10% becomes the relationship. So you are really still stuck in the spiral or that cycle of being in a relationship that is not really grounded, centered, and what we talk about really kind of in being a healthy blueprint, a healthy template. It's like the design, if you've ever seen a blueprint for an office building or a home, you'll see that there's, little sketches in blue, and they have the design. Here's the stairs to the basement, here's the basement, here are the steps up, here's the kitchen, dining room, living room. We go upstairs, there's the, there's the bedrooms. I mean, that is the blueprint. So on that is which you build upon. You follow those directions. I really do feel like, and what in my understanding is that, your relationship is very much the same way. You have a template in which you have adapted and created a perspective in a life and really then a role and identity about yourself. And your identity becomes really formed, not as an individual, independent, healthy human being, but as a role or identity as really submerged as a victim. And submerged meaning not really having your head above water or not really feeling like you are grounded or you have control or, you are not being victimized or emotionally manipulated by this individual. So the experience is that of being engulfed or enmeshed or not being able to do what you want, not being happy. You're kind of like tagging along to their needs, their interests, and you are really kind of in the shadow therein. You are, you're basically feeling, like you are always supportive, but you're not really validated in the positive, healthy way of being supported, where there's that mutual, symbiotic relationship. It becomes very unbalanced. So really to get through the other side is realizing that deep down in the template, there is a blueprint with which you have followed the lines, very much like a treasure map. Go here, go there, take 10 steps. We all remember in childhood, those play maps, or you might have been on a scavenger hunt, or you might have created this with your friends. Take 10 steps this way, find this and this at the tree or by the bush or whatever it is that you did. Your relationship is very much the same way. Deep down inside, there's a blueprint or a template with which you're following through, and then that you're your lines, your blueprint, your template becomes written then by the conditioning or programming that you have permitted to be treated as such. So in other words, here comes the victimization room. In other words, here's in your state of being, if you will, a state where you are then put into a room or a place where you're yelling, bickering, you're not being acknowledged. All the different issues that come with being in a very toxic relationship, as we discuss here, and getting to the other side of it. It's saying, okay, I see where this has occurred. My sense of self had permitted this. Unbeknownst to me, my boundaries were violated, and unbeknownst to me, I had agreed to the terms of this template of the relationship of being less than, or perhaps I was born into this situation. I know we have a lot of viewers who are living with or born into families where this is a very pervasive situation and they can't get on their own feet, emotionally, physically, financially, professionally, even people who are emerging from marriages where this is becoming, the pain is becoming great enough. It can no longer be denied. It can no longer be ignored. This needs to be brought to light. You need to actually look at what is going on, see where the grinding is going on, the pain between the two of you, the three of you, the four of you, wherever it is, and realize that something needs to change in the template of yourself, meaning your I am, your identity. We talk very much about the I am and how important it is to get a grip on that space which you own. The other person doesn't own it within you. You might feel that way. You might feel, like a part of you is in them, or, an arm and a leg belongs to them, as they say, or, you're so intermingled that it's hard for you to separate yourself or feel okay being independent. And you're not operating independently from that very healthy, empowered space where you're not inextricably tied to them emotionally. People have the ruminations, the anger. They're not able to get out of the weeds. They're not able to get out of the muck. They're not able to get out of the muddy water. They're submerged, And it really is important to look at the blueprint, look at the template, look at the map. I think of it very much like a treasure map. You are following along, and here you're in a cave where you don't want to be anymore. You don't want to be in this perspective, this outlook, this emotional vibration, this culture, or, it's like when you get to a scary place, a scary part of a street or a forest or something, you can sense it. You are not happy. You need to tune into and honor those feelings and say, no, this is done. This is going nowhere. This is getting into the muck fast. We need to get out of the muck. We know we deserve better. I deserve better. It has to begin with the I am, and begin there. And if you have so been caught up in the 80%, the 90% being about this other person, things, are going to be very rocky. So looking at that blueprint, getting out literally pen and paper and drawing, almost like a treasure chest. Imagine you drawing out a treasure chest and where you would like to be. If you can see that now, draw it out. You might have a picture in your mind. You might have some feelings in mind. You might have a vision in mind of how you look or where you live or what the happiness, the bliss, the joy feels like. What does that look like? If you haven't been there in a while, then recall it. Work hard to get that feeling back and then draw it out. If there's a picture, there's, photographs you might see in a magazine, words that might describe it. That is your destination. That is your map. And if you're to get out a pen and draw it along and then, see within that line, how long is it going to take for you to get there? Do these first steps take 1 week? Do they take 2 weeks? Is it going to take 7 years? How long is this going to take for you to get there, to get out of this muck, to get to the other side? And begin to write underneath in that treasure map a list of 20 things that you ideally see, feel, have, and become in that area. And then look at that intersection from where you are here and where you are to get there. How long is that going to take? You need to start making some decisions, because as you decide, your body will basically begin to snap into place. And you'll begin to say, do I want to take 2 years to get there? Do I want to take 5 years to get there? It's already taken us 20 years to get into this muck. We need to get out. And what are the next steps to emerge? Begin to write a list of 10 to 20 things underneath that place in that open space. We can get it out, and I can do more, mind mapping with you here, because it's extremely effective to getting it out. And as I recommend, you need to get pen in hand, you need to get paper, you need to draw it out, because a lot of you are visual people. I know we have a lot of creative people here on the channel, and we're all unique. You're all personal. You all have your individual I ams, and you all have your individual, destination where you want to get to, and you all have your own unique muck, forest, cavern, wherever it is that you are. And begin to say, put an X through where that is, and, that's a forbidden zone. Begin to make that forbidden. The time to stop is now. Put a big X through it. No more. It's, that is not going to be your safe haven. Begin to see really where your safe haven is, what the steps are going to be to require. And even if it just means calming down, being calm, it seems so simple, but yet so effective. Coming into a state of peace and surrender and acknowledgement, and saying, my I am has been violated for so long that, no more. You're putting an X through it. A very firm, big X, not like tiny X, no more. It's a big X to fill out the entire page where your muck has been. Do not go back to that area. It's very much, what was that movie, was it not Game of Thrones, with Jennifer Lawrence, I can't think of it now. I'm sure some of you will think of it. Not War Games, but something like that. You know how some of those places can be very scary. No more. You need to have that same sort of conviction, like, this is my life. Jennifer Lawrence running out of these deep places with her arrows. No more. You need to get out of that horrific area where you are not living in your best happiness, and you'll feel it, you'll know it, you'll sense it. It's time really to get pen to paper, start drawing out like a blueprint, like a template, like a map, adding on that new addition, that sunroom, that balcony, maybe that bigger kitchen, that larger master bedroom, that outdoor pool. Really begin to draw into your life, the design of your life, that new place where you're going. It's very much like a blueprint. And once you lay the foundation, the grounding, which comes really being calm and peaceful and coming from that awareness where it's like, okay, I have, emotional mastery now over the cells that are within my body, and then the emotions, the neurochemicals, and the stress, reactions. I'm no longer being governed by these stress hormones. This is getting us nowhere fast. We're drawing the line. Let's just agree to stop. Period. End of story. And stop we must. And each time you begin to go back and you see that X, look at that X and go, and do not go back. You all have an image of what an X looks like warning, danger, do not enter. Begin to really feel that in that vibrational space when you begin to feel overwhelmed, anxious, upset, depressed, feeling like you're, futile. You've made some grave mistakes and you can't stop ruminating about it. Put an X, no more to the ruminating. It is like going into, quicksand, and ask yourself, why would I design quicksand, into my blueprint? Why would I let the bottom fall out for my life? Why am I drawing that into my life? Why am I continuing to have contractors come in and build more quicksand? In other words, why are my emotions, which are like my little contractors, or like my little construction guys or construction girls who are crafting and creating your feelings, why would you permit that to be? I don't want those contractors to be working on the quicksand of my emotions anymore. That has got to stop. We need now to have some real, solid foundation. Is it made of bamboo, or is it, is it super strong? Is it made of cement? what is your foundation going to be like? Is it beautiful hardwood? Is it with, what kind of flooring? What kind of foundation are you building? What kind of tools do you have? What kind of vision do you have for the strength? You really need to begin to get to that bottom place, and not like the valley, because a lot of people are in that valley where, your life is overwhelming. Your body is cramping. Your emotions are distraught. You've been through that enough. It's like you're wrung out and stressed out emotionally. Enough. It's time to get a little bit more fluff or good, positive energy into your life. And fluff just meaning cushion, just some buffer to yourself emotionally. And oftentimes that just comes with, the serenity prayer. It comes with just relaxing and calming down and not feeling like you have to be so hyper to achieve anything. Because oftentimes that hyper hormone of stress is what is encouraged in these toxic relationships. And it can only go on for so long until you begin to realize that you've been perpetuating this, or this has been allowed, you've enabled this situation or this hurtful relationship for so long, and you're going to come up empty-handed. You can't put, the keys to your castle in someone else's hand. You can't enable this person and say, well, eventually someday they'll turn around. And there comes to be a time when you say, I've seen the true colors. I know what this is about, and I'm going to have the courage, the boldness, and the audacity to say no, and I will be courageous with my life, and because I know that the other person will become courageous also, and I will let them go in knowing and understanding who they are and why they are the way that they are, and that is peace enough. And then that closure is within me, and begin to then get into that more creative quantum field space where you can begin to draw together the solutions, the acceptance, the things that actually work, the productive decisions. You're no longer wasting your energy. I mean, we talk about, wasting things and, and world hunger. Think about your emotions in very much the same way, and your time and your attention very much the same way. Why would you be so wasteful with these very precious resources which have been given to you? It's a very important question to ask, and a very good realization to make when it comes to really getting through to the other side of a very difficult or toxic type of relationship. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos, that they do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.